भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। श्रीन्वतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयान्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter Canto 4, chapter 24, verses 68 and 69. Verse 68. Atatvam asino brahman paramatman vipaschitam vishvam rudra bhaya dvashtam akutaschid bhaya gatihi. Atatvam asino brahman paramatman vipaschitam vishayam vishwam rudrabhaya dvashtam akutaschid bhaya gatihi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. My dear Lord, all actually learned persons know you as the Supreme Brahman and the Super Soul. Although the entire universe is afraid of Lord Rudra, who ultimately annihilates everything. For the learned devotees, you are the fearless destination of all. Purport. For the purpose of creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, there are three lords, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, Maheshwara. The material body is finished at the time of annihilation. Both the universal body and the small unit, the individual living entity's body, are susceptible to annihilation at the ultimate end. However, the devotees do not fear the annihilation of the body, for they are confident that after the annihilation they will go back home, back to Godhead. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam iti so Arjuna. If one strictly follows the process of devotional service, he has no fear of death, for he is predestined to go back home, back to Godhead. The non-devotees are fearful of death because they have no guarantee of where they are going or of the type of body they are going to get in their next life. The word Rudra Bhaya is significant in this verse because Rudra himself, Lord Shiva, is speaking of fear of Rudra. This indicates that there are many Rudras, 11 Rudras, and the Rudra, Lord Shiva, who was offering this prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is different from the other Rudras. Although as powerful as they are, the conclusion is that one Rudra is afraid of another Rudra because each and every one of them is engaged in the destruction of this cosmic manifestation. But for the devotee, everyone is afraid of Rudra, even Rudra himself. A devotee is never afraid of Rudra because he is always secure, being protected by the lotus feet of the Lord. As Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kaunteya Pratijan Nahi Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. My dear Arjuna, you may declare publicly that my pure devotee will not be vanquished under any circumstances. Verse text 69. Idam japata bhadram vo vishuddhanrupa nandana swadharmam anutishtanto bhagavati arpita saya. Idam japata bhadram vo vishuddhanrupa nandana swadharmam anutishtanto bhagavati arpita saya. Translation. My dear sons of the king, just execute your occupational duty as kings with pure heart. Just chant this prayer, fixing your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. That will bring you all good fortune, for the Lord will be very much pleased with you. The prayers offered by Lord Shiva are very authoritative and significant. Simply by offering prayers to Supreme Lord, one can become perfect, even though engaged in his occupational duty. The real purpose of life is to become devotee of the Lord. It does not matter where one is situated, whether one is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, American, Englishman, Indian, etc. One can execute devotional service anywhere and everywhere in the material existence simply by offering prayers unto the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is also a prayer A prayer addresses the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his name and invokes good fortune by petitioning the Lord to allow one to engage in his devotional service. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra also says, my dear Lord Krishna, my dear Lord Rama, O energy of the Lord, Hare, kindly engage me in your service. Although one may be situated in a lowly position, he can execute devotional service under any circumstance as stated in Ahaituki Apratihata. Devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. Bhagavatam 1.2.6. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also recommended this process. Gnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya vartam sthane sthita shruti tanuvan manobhir ye prayaso jito api asitasi taistrilokyam. Bhagavatam 10:14.3. One may remain situated in his own place or in his own occupational duty and still lend his ear to receive the message of Lord from realized souls. The Krishna conscious movement is based on this principle, and we are opening centers all over the world to give everyone a chance to hear the message of Lord Krishna in order to go back home, back to Godhead. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नितिनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशस्थाने जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself, and please forgive me for any shortcomings. So we are in the chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. We are in the Rudra Gita section where verses 60 to 68, talks about relationship between the Lord and the material creation. And verses 65, 66, predominantly talks about time factor. Time causes everything to be destroyed by something else, like one animal is eaten by another. Time also scatters everything, like wind scatters the clouds. And time suddenly strikes a greedy person desiring material objects, as a snake seizes a mouse. And in the verse 67 yesterday, um, we read that any learned persons know that unless he worships supreme personality of Godhead, his entire life is spoiled. So knowing this, how could one give up worshipping the lotus feet? Even our father, spiritual master Lord Brahma, unhesitantly worshipped you, and 14 Manus also followed his footsteps. So coming to verse 68, today's verse, I'm going to summarize from the lecture given by His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami in 1987. So, um, so in this verse, main essence is, Lord Shiva prays to Supreme Personality of Godhead and acknowledge him as the fearless destination for the devotees. Even the powerful personalities like Rudra fear the destructive force of Rudra, but devotees who take the shelter of Krishna's lotus feet remain fearlessness. So here, so the real cause of fear, there are different type of fears. The ultimate fear is the death. So the moment when material life ends. For materialist, death means everything is finished, leading to hopelessness, irresponsibility, and madness. But atheism spreads the hopelessness. If there is no God, no afterlife, life loses meaning. So from the moment we are born, we begin to die. But yet the world keeps us in illusion that the life is just beginning. So the devotees are fearless. Devotees are confident that at the death they will go back to Godhead, or at least they can continue their spiritual progress in the next life as well. So in Bhagavad Gita, verse 931 says, Krishna says, my devotees will never be vanquished. And here, even the destruction by Rudra cannot harm the eternal soul surrendered to the Krishna. So for the devotee, there is no fear, only the assurance of Krishna's protection. So, and what happens is in the material world, the ignorance fuel the insecurity. This fearfulness, comes from ignorance of our real identity as eternal souls. Society hides the death under layers of distraction, false promises of material happiness, but devotees act like alarm clocks, where waking the people up from the dream of materialism, which makes preachers unpopular. In the purport, Prabhupada said about the three lords like Brahma, you know, creates, Vishnu maintains, and Shiva, Rudra destroys, and everyone fears the destruction. But devotees who are sheltered beyond the modes, not fearful. And and Bhagavad Gita 1866, Krishna says, surrender unto me, don't fear. And shelter of Krishna means engaging in the sadhana bhakti, chanting, deity worship, doing service, and also vigilance in avoiding the Maya. So how do we be vigilant against Maya? Maya is a formidable enemy. Devotee must stay alert like a soldier in the war. And mind applies false labels to objects, I, me, and mine, but turning them into source of attachment. And spiritual life is a retraining of the mind to see everything is in relation to Krishna. So I think that's what essence of the verse 68. You know, um, Fear is due to ignorance. Devotees are fearless, and one has to be vigilant from Maya, and we have to share Krishna consciousness wisely and practice the Krishna consciousness. Coming to verse 69, it talks about you know uh, Lord Shiva, telling to Prachetas, just execute your occupational duty as kings with a pure heart, and also chant this prayer, fixing your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. That will bring the good fortune, and the Lord will be very much pleased. So this verse I'm summarizing from the lecture given by His Grace Aniruddha Prabhu. So, so your main context and theme is, your discussion centers on Lord Shiva's instruction to the sons of King Pracheta, and main emphasis is chanting the prayers and Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only way to purify life, regardless of one's occupational or material status. So Lord Shiva recommends daily prayer, remembrance of Krishna as a direct path to spiritual perfection. What does Lord Shiva's core instruction is chant devotional prayers with sincerity and perform occupational duties, work or family responsible, but offer the results to Krishna. So we have to do tell all our activities to Krishna, and then what happens? This makes the life Badram, auspicious, and Vishuddha, purified. So spiritual progress is possible in any position, rich or poor, Brahmana or Shudra, Indian or Western, educated or uneducated. So, and the key scriptural principles in Bhagavad Gita 9:27 says, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerity you perform, do that as an offering to me. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 1.26 talks about the supreme occupational is devotional service to the Lord without any material motivation. So Hare Krishna Mahamantra itself is a prayer, or saying that, my dear Lord Krishna, my dear Lord Rama, oh energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. So Lord Chaitanya says, in this age of Kali, we can stay in our position, hear and chant about Krishna, and also associate with devotees. So how come the chanting works? The chanting works because when the prayer purifies our consciousness and aligns our heart with Krishna, and no material impediment can be done anywhere, anytime. It also transforms our actions into akarma, action free from reaction, and our purification by chanting leads to humility, detachment from material acquisition, and peace, gives the peace and happiness. And what are the obstacles to progressing in spiritual path? Main thing is offenses in the chanting, nama parada. We usually slow or stop our spiritual growth. Examples are, criticizing the devotees, disregarding the scriptures, inattentive chanting, and disobey the spiritual master, and also pride and fault finding towards other devotees, attachment to sinful or material activity. These are all obstacles to the progress. But we have to avoid these offenses. How do we avoid these offenses? There are do's and don'ts. The do's are hearing and chanting sincerely, serving the devotees, reading the Srimad Bhagavatam daily, and offering food to Krishna before eating. And what are the don'ts? Uh, Not engage in a mundane activities, criticizing the devotees, treating chanting as a ritualistic or material mechanical activity, and engaging in the sinful activities. And one has to realize the importance of human form. Life is rare and meant for realizing the spiritual identities. The six bodily changes, birth, growth, maintenance, reproduction, dwindling, and death, show that body is temporary, and the time of death is fixed at birth. Wealth or medical treatment cannot extend the life. Therefore, we should not waste time. Use it for spiritual advancement. So, and the devotees may appear materially poor, but they are spiritually rich and happy. Krishna sometimes removes the material opulences to help devotees focus on him. Like a doctor prescribing a bitter medicine instead of sweets. So devotees must accept this as a Krishna's mercy. And also one has to balance the duties and devotion. Continue daily responsibility, job, or you know, if kids may go to the school and take family responsibilities, but do them in service to Krishna. Dharma, righteous duties should align with devotional service. So some occupations, harming others are incompatible with the devotion. So we have to choose our profession also, which are which are conducive, which are as per dharma, which helps us to focus in the and focus in the mode of goodness and connecting to the Krishna. And the practical takeaways are, one has to chant daily, offer the work and results to Krishna, read and hear scriptures daily, avoid the offenses to chanting and devoting, accepting life, life's reversal as Krishna's arrangement for our purification, and using this human form wisely. It's a one-time opportunity, so we can go back to Godhead. So in summary, the verse 68 talks about, all the learned scholars, including Lord Shiva, recognize Krishna as a supreme Brahman and Paramatma. While, universal energy sphere, Rudra's destructive power, but devotees who surrender to Krishna feel complete security. you know. And in the last verse 69 talks about how Lord Shiva advises the Prachetas to faithfully perform their duties while chanting the prayer, keeping Krishna's lotus feet in the mind. This sincere devotional practice, even amid worldly responsibilities, brings auspiciousness and Krishna's pleasure. Chanting the holy name is, accessible to all, especially in the age of Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you know, um, appeared to give this holy name for us to chant and go back to Godhead easily just by chanting in this age of Kali without doing any, austerities like in the previous yugas. So, like, regardless of status of or circumstance, one has to perform the Swadharma and Sanatana Dharma. With that, I can conclude. Uh, Thank you for giving me opportunity, and please forgive me for any misgivings or shortcomings. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावन